So, hello everybody. Today we're here with Mirna Martinez. Hi everybody. Today we are here with Mirna Norni. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get this.
This is just the first part.
It's just the first part. But once we get going, it'll get easier. Okay. All right. Hello everybody. Today we are here with Mirna Martinez, and we're gonna be hearing about her story, how she came up, and what the vision looks like for them in the future. So a little bit about Mirna. She is a queer Oaxacan first-gen bilingual and is actually a therapist who is a founder of Jefas con Libros, right? Mm-hmm. And a member of Oaxacan Therapist. Correct. So to that, we're going to cheers by today's sponsor, Jarritos, Cantaritos.
This is my favorite flavor too.
Oh, really?
I love pineapple.
I've never tried these before.
I love pineapple stuff.
All right. Salud.
Salud.
At any local shop, you can get one. I'm just kidding. Okay, so.
Wait, what would you rate it?
Yeah, this might get a second taste.
What would you rate it? Like.
Honestly, have you had like Topo Chico margaritas?
Topo Chico? No, I haven't.
I would say it's kind of like that. Okay. So I like those. So I would say it's a good buy. It's a good solid. But we're gonna start off obviously by hearing a little bit about yourself, how you grew up, and I know a lot of people have questions about going into the profession of therapy, but also are curious about what it's like on a day-to-day. Yeah. And I think you bring a very unique perspective. So why don't we start off with the foundation of who Mirna is, how she came to be, how they came to be, right?
So I was born May 22. No, I was born and raised in Venice, California. So when my family migrated from Oaxaca to Los Angeles, we somehow all of our pueblo ended up in Venice Beach. So that's where I ended up growing up. And I always say that our household was kind of like this. What is it called? Like when people just arrive at a house and then they figure things out and then they move out. There's like a word for that.
I know what you're talking about.
And I just said it the other day, and it's like I'm blanking out on it. Like a safe house.
A safe house,
right?
Potluck style.
Algo así. So basically, we grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment, and my family was in 1 bedroom, and my aunt and uncle and my 2 cousins were in 1 bedroom, and then the living room space, we just had members from our pueblo that would come in to the United States, be there for a bit, and then move out. So I grew up with a lot of people around me,
coming and going, and so that's where you get your social skills.
Yes, not really, but no, that's what made me afraid of people. No.
The opposite effect. Okay.
Yes, because I was very shy growing up, and that was something that my mom always told me, that I would get good grades, and I think back then they would grade us by numbers. So I was always high on math, English, and whatnot. Yeah. But when it came to participation, it was always my lowest grade.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I was very shy growing up. So I think me being a therapist and even having Oaxacali, my Instagram has been different. It's been out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
So I'm also learning to navigate that aspect of it, because I get to meet amazing people, like you, everyone that's reached out from Oye. Yeah. So it's been cool. And I also have to and I want to make connections. I want to make community because I thrive on community.
Yeah.
So I grew up in Venice. I went to elementary, middle school there, and then I grew up for high school, I went to Hamilton, which is West LA.
Okay. I'm not from LA, so I don't know, but good to know. West LA.
Yeah.
Okay.
West LA, Palms area, if anyone's familiar with that area. And then high school was rough. High school, I transitioned from coming from Venice to kind of mid-city area.
Okay.
So I always say the same story of how really rebelled, not just because I was entering ninth grade, but because I was going to school without my friends in Venice, because everyone went to Venice High.
Yeah. So it's a different you're fresh. You're new kid on the block.
Yeah. And so luckily there was some like a little bit of people that did like go with me to Hamilton. So I like, had my friend group. We were all just like the rockeros, like the skaters, and then like the stoners. So like it was like I was in that mix. So when I was in ninth grade, I didn't think I would ever go to college.
That wasn't even in the picture.
No, and I think I failed like two classes in ninth grade.
Wow. Okay.
And
so
then
rough start.
Yeah, it was a rough start for sure. And then I met a friend. Her name is Julie, and I always say this story about Julie. She's like one of my dearest friends, and we just reconnected a couple of months ago too.
Shout out Julie.
Yes, shout out Julie. But like if it wasn't for her, she pushed me to join cross country.
Okay.
So then like I always say that running was my first therapy. Because it was like I started running, and then with that I met coaches, I met mentors, which is something I never had growing up. And then I met like different friends outside of my friend group.
Yeah.
So that got me out of my circle, and that got me to realize like I could do more
than what you were just what you knew.
Yeah.
Right. That's crazy. And when you were going through that process of change, what would you say would be kind of like the trigger that you're like, this is what I want to pursue, your passion, or what does that kind of look like for you?
I think I never really knew what I wanted to do in high school. I just knew that like I could go to college.
Okay.
And that was an option now, because before like it was just so closed off where I was just like, I don't think college is ever for me.
Yeah.
Like one, I'm not smart enough, and like two, like my parents can never afford it.
Yeah, that's a big factor.
So I was always just like, nah, like I'm gonna like graduate high school and then I don't know, go work at a fast food or retail, right? Because that's what I thought was my full potential.
Yeah.
And then I met Julie, and not only did she introduce me into running and sports, she introduced me to college because an organization came in. They're called Fulfillment Fund, so shout out to them too.
Shout out Fulfillment Fund.
And they would come in and take us to go visit colleges. They would bring college students on campuses. Ooh. And just like host amazing events like that. So she starts to go to these things, and she's kept telling me like, let's go.
Inviting you to come along.
And at first I was just like, nah, like I'm not gonna go to college, so like why go? Why get my hopes up?
Makes sense.
So but I ended up going, and yes, again, I met amazing people, I met amazing mentors, and they said that I could go to college. Like, yeah, you kind of mess up your ninth grade year, but that doesn't define where you can go. I'm like, period. So I was just like, for sure. So 10th grade, I got my like things together, and I started to get A's and B's, and I took summer classes to get back up there. And then I think I got my junior year, I got into Students Run LA, which is like students who prepare for the marathon.
Okay.
And that was also something that I was just like, I could never run a marathon type of thing.
How for those that don't know, how long is a marathon?
26 miles, 26.2 miles. Yeah. So again, like running was my first therapy. It was like you're running for miles, you're running for hours, and you're just like in your own thoughts.
Yeah. For sure.
So like I really just like started to think about like what my future can look like in those runs, right?
Yeah.
And what I wanted to pursue. And then I applied to several colleges. When I was applying to my colleges when is it, like senior year that you're applying to?
I think it's
or junior year. I always forget now.
I think it's like your end of junior year, beginning of senior year, right? During that time period.
Okay, yeah. So I actually was going. I was applying to schools to go to nursing school because I wanted to be a nurse.
Oh,
I don't know why I wanted to be a nurse. I was just like, it makes sense. I don't know.
But I mean, it follows the path of like helping others in a way, right?
Yeah, definitely helping others. And then I had an internship at Kaiser. That was like my first paid internship. And it was cool. I was in the physical therapy department, and I got to see like physical therapists. And I'm like, maybe I want to do like physical therapy.
Yeah.
But I think I need to like first go to college and get like a degree in biology. So it was kind of like biology nursing that I wanted to focus on. And then I did my first year. It was like pre-health. It wasn't even pre-nursing. It was just pre-health. and I didn't like it. Like I just
The
felt like
first
I
time.
was like just like memorizing and not learning.
Oh, yeah, it's one of those classes where it's just they just throw so much stuff at you that all you can do is just really
Mm-hmm.
try to take it in by taking notes and doing the basics just to memorize for the test, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily like getting that passion behind it.
Yeah, like I mean, I wasn't able to apply it to anything on my day to day.
Mm-hmm.
It was more like I was just like retaining this information for exams and then like forgetting about it.
Se te iba. Just come
Yeah.
in now.
And I'm just like, I don't know if I want to do this. And then I think my freshman year, second semester, I had a sociology class.
Okay.
So, and then I started to learn about like society and societal norms. And I was just like really interested in what the professor was talking about. Like, I didn't think about it this way, or like, yeah, you're right. Or like just even putting like terms and definitions together
Okay.
because you could do like certain things and then they'll be like, oh, that's called this. And
Uh,
then I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Or now I could put a word to it, you know?
yeah, yeah.
I could put a name to it. So that was cool. Like connecting, making all those connections was cool. And then that professor ended up like becoming my mentor, my advisor. And she also taught, she went to school to get her MSW, her master's in social work. She was Latina too.
Okay.
So I'm just like, oh, there's more after college.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You could see potential for the path that she kind of already set up.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And so that was like, was that kind of mentorship conversations that you've had once you started taking those classes of sociology? What helped you like, hey, for sure this is what I want to do? Or was that something just like a step into the process?
It was just a step because even after undergrad, there was a lot of pressure of like what's next, and then I'm like, I don't know what's next. Like
Pressure from who though?
just from my peers,
Okay, okay.
like from my peers, and like maybe family, but at that time, a lot of my family was just happy that I was going to graduate college. So I was like also pressure for myself from within me, like
Yeah.
I know I could do more type of thing. I know I could achieve more now that like I've like finished college. But I took a gap year. I did a program called City Year, which is it's a AmeriCorps program, so it's kind of like giving a year of service.
Okay.
You get like a monthly stipend. It's like ridiculously like nada, like
Okay.
pennies. But
So for gas money there and back.
exactly, exactly. So we work in schools, so they call us mentors, role models,
Mm-hmm.
and I forget what the other one was. And based on like with the school that you're placed, it just depends on like the age group you work with.
Okay.
So I was placed in ninth grade.
Ooh, okay.
So I was
to where it
working,
all started.
yeah, I was working with ninth graders, and yeah, it was like a full circle moment because I saw students who were following the path that I was following.
They were in your shoes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was just like, and I've always been really transparent with folks, even like with my clients at a certain point that it's like not ethical, but you know, I would tell my students back then, like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything.
Yeah.
You know, like if you follow this path, this is where it's gonna lead you to.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna be real with me. And I think they saw like that authentic that sense that I brought in and they started to trust me.
Mm-hmm.
They knew that I wasn't just like someone that didn't grow up where they grew up. You know, they knew that I wasn't an outsider and that like I also like went to like a public school in like LAUSD and like I also and then like I went to college and
Mm-hmm.
now like I was there. So I really connected with all my ninth graders and it was beautiful. And I actually wanted to become a teacher after that.
Oh.
Well, during
that time period.
During that time period, but then afterwards I'm like, no, it's like a lot of work. Like shout out to teachers because they do a lot. Like they're like teachers, social workers, like nurses, they're just like todo. Like it's just like
yeah.
And they're like, yeah, and it sucks because they are underpaid. We're all underpaid, even social workers.
Yeah, everyone is underpaid. All these layoffs and billionaires getting richer and richer, and it is what it is. I don't know if you saw the cornflake thing where they're like, when the CEO of cornflakes was like, oh, people, if food is getting too expensive, they should start eating cereal for dinner.
Dead.
Yeah, I was like, damn, okay. But okay, so I interrupted you, but you were talking about now that's you're like, okay, maybe I want to be a teacher, but then after that, not. So you were going like this, like wanted to be a nurse and then a teacher, and now where are we at now?
So then after so city year, they had a program where it was also focused on like what comes after city year, like life after city. I forgot what their acronym. They had so many acronyms, but I remember one was like life after city year.
Okay.
And they would have like grad school fairs and things like that. So I went to a grad school fair, and and again, like I was just like kind of going just to go because I think they gave us like hours to go.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna just go. And just speaking with different grad school programs, hearing them out, I was just like, in the back of my head, I always knew like maybe a master's in social work, maybe. So as I was approaching different tables, that's what I started to like say, like, oh yeah, do you have a master's in social work program? Some would say no.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, well, we have this other program if you want interested in this. And then the grad school that I ended up going to, I went to their booth just because I saw they had like a lunch bag and I wanted it. Like I need a new lunch bag, right?
You gotta get what they give, you know? You gotta get those things.
Yeah, so I got the lunch bag, and like I just said hi, and like I got the lunch bag. I was ready to like walk out, and then they're like
disrespectful.
I know, but like
just kidding.
I know, but the lady was talking to someone. The representative was talking to someone, and then she's like, oh, like I didn't get your name, and then we started talking, and she's like, what are you interested in? I'm like, oh, like maybe a master's like in social work. And she's just like, oh, we have that program. I'm like, oh, cool. Tell me about it. And she started to like sell it to me.
Yeah.
I was like, cool, you know, like ready to like leave.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I'm like, where is this school at? She's like, it's in Ohio.
Ohio?
And then in my head, I'm like, what the hell am I going to do in Ohio? Like Ohio, where I could even like envision that in the map.
Yeah, yeah.
I like,
you know, it's somewhere right here, but I don't.
You know that it's like not like California, like way off California. And I was like, oh, cool. That's cool. And like, you know, she got my name and my info. I filled out one of those cards and I left. And then she gives me a call and she's like, hey, our like early enrollment starting. It's a free application. You don't have to submit a GRE. All you need to submit is like your essay and like, I don't know, 2-3 recommendations.
Okay. So she slid in the DMs hard.
Right.
Okay.
Like she followed them. She was doing her job. She was doing her job.
She knew what she was doing.
Shout out to her.
Okay.
She was doing her job correctly. But yeah, because she like reached out, I was just like, why not? It's free.
Yeah.
What's the worst that can happen? I could get rejected. That's it. I don't even want to go to Ohio.
Fine, I didn't want to go anyways.
So yeah, I applied and then I got in. A couple months after I got in, and they asked if I wanted to visit the school, and I was just like,
for free?
For free? Exactly. Like room and board included. And they're just like, yeah, we'll help like fund some of that. And then I'm like, all right, sure, let's head out to Ohio. Wow. So I did head out to Ohio. They had like a admitted students day, so people that have already been admitted to it but haven't committed to it. Yeah. And I met, you know, professors, and then I met some students, and you know, the whole like, you know, they're trying to sell
the community.
They're trying to sell it to you. And again, like I know how like things like that work, so I'm just like don't BS me, right? So I met with a student like one-on-one. And she was a student of color, and I felt like safe to be like, hey, like, be real with me. Why shouldn't I come here? You know, she was like a student ambassador, so she was representing her school.
Yeah. They get paid.
Which I actually ended up becoming a student ambassador.
Oh my God.
But I'm just like, I know that you're a student ambassador. I know you're trying to tell me school, but like, can you be real with me on like why I shouldn't come here? Oh. And then she's like, yeah, I'll be real with you. And because she was a person of color, she's like, you're gonna experience so many microaggressions. This is like you're gonna experience institutional racism. You're gonna experience this and that. Yeah. You're gonna feel like you don't belong here. And then I'm like, I already feel like I don't belong here because like I'm not even a student here. Yeah. And I already feel like I don't belong here. So why would I like go through that? And she's like, but you deserve to be here. You know, just like anyone else, you already got admitted. Yeah. You know, you're gonna be sitting in the same space as other people who also deserve to be there. You know, and that does not diminish like who you are as a person or how much you know, because you are in that space already. And that's something that I needed to hear, because that whole time I just kept saying like, no, 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 like I'm not gonna come here.
Yeah.
You know, I did it for the experience. I came and like I'm going. So like
Wow.
I like went home and I was flying, like I was like flying back, and I was like, I'm not gonna go.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go. And then like I think a few friends like followed up and they're just like, how was it? I told them like it was fine, but I'm not gonna go out there. Plus it was like really cold when I went.
So
And
the weather's a big factor.
I was just like, no, like
Yeah.
I was barely surviving out there for like the day or two that I was out there. Like imagine like a whole winter.
Yeah. That'd be crazy.
It was. But then I forget which friend it was, and she's just like, what do you have to lose?
Yeah, ¿qué pierdes?
And then I'm like, I don't know, I'm scared. And then it's like, that's valid, but like you're in, you're in, you got a scholarship, like go. And I needed that push.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I said yes. And I don't regret going out to Ohio. So I said yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I went out there. The first time I had moved away from LA, it was the first time I moved away from home.
And you were what, like 18, 19?
No.
17?
How old was I when I went to grad school? I think I was like 22 already.
22? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, because you came to school here. I forgot.
Yeah. So, yeah. So yeah, I was like 22, moved out, and yeah, didn't know anyone.
Oh, that's scary.
And I just went. I just like, I'm pretty wild for doing this. I never thought I would, but I'm out here, and I met amazing people. I met amazing professors. Yes, I got microaggressions left and right.
Left and right.
Yes, I experienced institutional racism. Like, yes to everything that student told me. But I do not like regret it. And like I showed up for myself, and people saw that I knew what I was like. I knew what I was doing in grad school. Like it was so funny because I remember my first semester. I want to say my undergrad prepared me really well to write research papers.
Okay.
So there was like students reaching out to me, like white students reaching out to me for help.
Asking for your help.
And I'm just like, what the hell? Like this is insane. This is insane. So yeah, it was an amazing experience. Like I still keep in touch with the friends that I made there. I think earlier, my friend asked me, like, "Do you have white friends?" I'm like, "Yeah, I went to Ohio." So they're like, everyone there's white.
You have to at that point.
Yeah, but you learn to also trust, white people. And I said this like in another podcast that I was on, of how I just, even that experience alone was like nerve-wracking and like scary. But I know that like, my friends that are white, they're real. I can tell them, I call them out on certain things, and they'll like, take it into consideration, and they'll
seriously,
accept it.
Not just like, oh, okay, yeah, like whatever you say.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I trust them, So even that was just like like its own experience.
Okay, awesome. Well, the next thing that we want to talk about is a little bit of like now what you're actually doing after that chapter. We're gonna take a commercial break. We'll come right back.
Commercial break.